So the Inspector General's report is nothing but a pile of manure. The Inspector General of the Federal Bureau of Investigation has lied on a gargantuan scale, covering up for decades of criminality, felonies, conspiracies, racketeering at FBI. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I want to point out that this nation has been looted for trillions. Trillions have come up unaccounted for out of the savings and loans, the banks, Wall Street, the pension funds, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, HUD, the Veterans Administration, Farmers Home Administration, the Federal Home Loan Bank Board. The Pentagon can't account for trillions. The Department of Defense can't account for trillions. And the United States Treasury can't account for trillions. Now, folks, when I say looted trillions, this is not conspiracy theory. This is not an urban myth. These are facts. Everybody that's paid any attention at all realizes that the Clintons, the Bushes, the Reagans, the Obamas all had to engage in this massive bailout. They had to bail out thousands of the largest, the middle-sized, and the smaller banks all across America. They had to bail them out by printing up endless rivers and tsunamis of reserve notes. Everybody in the whole world knows that the U.S. banking system, the financial mechanisms, the financial industries of the United States have been robbed for so much money, it is mind-boggling. And there is no question, there is no doubt that Holder and Lynch and Comey and Mueller and the rest of the FBI and the Treasury and the Secret Service and the NSA and the Postal Inspection Service and FDIC and every federal financial regulatory agency and office in the nation and even around the world knows that the facts that I'm addressing in this video are absolutely correct. And the Inspector General's office at FBI, well, they're just covering up for the way these massive amounts of stolen money were used to rig U.S. elections. Rig the political system in the United States. It's been done with vast amounts of stolen money. Now, to move on to Iran-Contra, Charlie Wilson's war, the patty cake baker's man with Imelda and Ferdinand Marcos and Noriega and the Shah of Iran and Saddam Hussein and the Bin Ladens. You've got this huge amount of money used to traffic weapons and move all kinds of ordnance all over the planet. Shh. Right, Hillary? Shh. Right, Barack Obama? Shh. Right, Comey? Shh. Right, Mueller? Shh. Isn't that correct, Jeff Sessions? Rudy Giuliani? Shh. Donald Trump? Shh. Don't say a word about the weapons trafficking and War Incorporated, the Black Operations War Incorporated, that have been financed with all the looted trillions. Folks, when the CIA and the Pentagon and the Department of the Defense there and the Treasury can't account for trillions, where do you think they do with that kind of money? Go to the mall? Come on, ladies and gentlemen, wake up! The Inspector General of the United States is just part of the cover-up. It's a farce. It's a giant crime scene, and the FBI are the biggest pile of criminals in the country. Ask, I don't know, Joanna Herring King and James Baker III. Ask George Bush Sr. and George Bush Jr. and the Clintons how they were running all that black operations warfare out of Houston, Texas, with the HPD, Houston Police Department, and the CIA, and the FBI, and the Secret Service, and the Office of the Vice President, and the Office of the President, with North, Secord, Poindexter, Owens, Robert Owens, Bud McFarlane, the whole gang involved in Houston with the Bin Ladens. The Khashoggis had luxury condominiums. The Khashoggi weapons traffickers had condos in Houston. Gabanafar had luxury condominium in Houston. The Bin Ladens owned Gulf Manure Airport right next to the Ellington Air Force Base. And ladies and gentlemen, the Galleria Hotel, the Galleria, was used as a grand ballroom for the ultra-wealthy criminals of Houston to pony up huge amounts of money. Shh, right, Oliver North? Shh, right, George Bush? Shh. Ladies and gentlemen, your nation is run by a bunch of criminals, organized criminals. They're known as the FBI. And there's Sessions from Alabama. I mean, come on, Jeff Sessions. You're kidding me, right? You're quoting the Bible? The Bible. You will stoop to any level to cover up the massive crime spree, the crime wave that has robbed America for so many trillions. It's absolutely staggering. And the American public are clueless. I mean, it's as if the bleach bit that the Clintons used, in their hammers to smash their stupid devices and servers. And then if that doesn't work, Hillary got her some Zippo lighter fluid and burnt the rest of the records, right, Hillary? I mean, we're not talking about blowjob Billy's spermazoid there, sperm all over that blue dress. We're talking about the subversion of an entire nation. I mean, hello, ladies and gentlemen. My God Almighty, how many people are dead all over the planet? Dead. Shock and awed, bombed, rocketed, Stinger missile, shoulder launch missiled, and blown up with all kinds of plastic explosives and every other imaginable weapon system that the CIA and the White House secretly shipped all over the world. Correct, Barack Obama? Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama, George Bush Jr. and Sr., Dick Cheney, Bud McFarlane, Robert Owens, North, Secord, Michael Atkinson, Mike Atkinson, Roland Carnaby's pal, up there at Willis, Texas on Lake Conroe. Ask Judge Barb Sadler. There you go. Ask Your Honor, Barb Sadler, and Nelda Luce Radabow Blair. And let's drag John Cornyn and Greg Abbott, the Attorney Generals of the state of Texas, into this discussion. And let's start talking about CIA, NSA, Oliver North, Secord, Poindexter, Casey, all that weapons trafficking going on through Houston, Texas. With the Khashoggis, the Bin Ladens, and the Gabanafars, with the Secretary of State, James Baker III. You doubt me? Get a hold of Peter Bruton. Get a hold of Peter Bruton from the Houston Post. He also was a reporter for the Houston Chronicle. He authored a book based on a lot of the information that I exposed in Houston and Conroe, called The Mafia, the CIA, and George Bush. So let's talk about all those children out in the open, in the wilds on the Texas-Mexican border, out in the heat of the sun of Mexico and Texas. Let's talk about how dangerous that is. Sneaking into the United States across the wild lands along the Rio Grande and north of Mexico into southern Arizona, Nevada, and California, across that desert. You want to talk about dangerous conditions? I don't think that an air-conditioned Walmart is as dangerous as crossing that open country. So let the Democrats chew on that a little bit. And Rush Limbaugh, you're absolutely correct. They can't go after Hillary because Hillary knows where all the bodies are buried in Houston, Texas. Right, Blowjob Bill? Come on, Billy Bob Blowjob. Let's talk about all that weapons trafficking from the Houstonian estates and uptown Houston. How am I doing, KC Tuckness and Cisneros Private Investigations? That little company you work for there, KC? Let's ask that private investigating company how those weapons traffickers were operating out of Baker and Botts and using the Houston banks and the San Antonio banks and the Dallas banks and the Austin banks to finance all their funny little weapons trafficking and moving all their ordnance all over the planet. You know, the Mafia, the CIA, and George Bush and Barack Obama and Bill Clinton. Peter Bruton's book, I mean, there's many chapters that have not yet been written, apparently. Folks, I don't know what more you can say. The Gabanafars, the Khashoggis, the Bin Ladens, Michael Atkinson, Robert Corson, Roland Carnaby, the whole weapons trafficking gang, right there operating out of 13,000 Main Street. 13,000 Main Street, or 1,300 Main Street in Houston, Texas, out of the RLG Western Bank building. Isn't this interesting, Judge Michael Mays? State Representative Reuben Hope. Liar, the crooked little lying lawyer, Tim Heron. Tim Heron and Nelda Luce Radabow Blair. How am I doing, Judge Barb Sadler? Judge Barb Sadler, the big bankster gangster there from Conroe. How we doing, Judge? You see, Judge Sadler, when Gabanafar and Khashoggi and the Bushes and Atkinson and Carnaby and that whole gang swirling around Robert Corson were running all kind of weapons out of Houston, Texas, with the Secretary of State, James Baker III, running cover. Folks, it was not just Charlie Wilson's war. Everybody knows about Charlie Wilson's war, right? And that went down in Houston, Texas, correct? How do you move all that money and all those weapons right under the nose of 515 Rusk and the FBI offices at T.C. Jester, with the Secret Service and every other postal inspection and treasury investigator and state police and attorney general and, Pentagon inspector generals? How do you run secret black operations wars from the Houstonian estate suite where Billy Bob Blowjob and Hillary and the Bushes partied across from the Memorial Park. On the 610 West Loop in uptown Houston, just up the street from the Galleria. The Houston Post and the Chronicle got photographs of North and Secord coming out of the Galleria Hotel. Now explain that, Jimmy Baker, old James Baker III. Let's explain that, Joanna King, Joanna Heron King, and I guess Charlie Wilson's dead, so he ain't talking. But there's a whole bunch of mess that went down in Harris and Montgomery County, Texas. And if you think I'm fooling around, I don't know, get a hold of His Honor, Judge Barb Sadler from Conroe, Texas, and start asking him about all those funny land deals. Isn't this correct? K.C. Tuckness works for Disney Corporation. She's a licensed private investigator. She shouldn't have any problem whatsoever finding out these facts, Rush Limbaugh. So Donald Trump, when are we going to really start draining the swamp? When does the swamp draining really begin? Jeff Sessions? Folks, I don't know what else to say. I'm going to leave it right there. Everybody knows who I am. I'm leaving it right there. And folks, they looted trillions. This is how they rig the national elections. This is how they rig the national and state governments and local governments and county governments and city governments with looted money. Huge amounts of printed right up, out of the thin air, marked up on the computers, imagineered, isn't that funny, Jon Stewart? Imagineered money. Folks, we're leaving it right there, and as always, hasta la vista, God bless, and we will be back.